Hello, girls, guys, or otherwise. This is Rich with your Witchy Book Club series. Um, we are on chapter 3 of the Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft by Christopher Penzak. If you do not have your copy, I do suggest getting a copy from a local bookstore or a local witchy shop. Do help out the small businesses and whatnot. But if you do not have your own copy and that's not something that you can go out and get, and you would still like to purchase it, there is an Amazon link down below. Feel free to use that. I don't know if it's an affiliate link or not. I really don't know anymore. If it is, I don't get any money or haven't gotten any money that I can remember. Anyway, yeah. If it is an affiliate link, it's not really working that well for me. But anyway, we're on chapter 3, Making Sacred Space. I do want to give a shout out to our patrons on Patreon who are fantastic. Linda and Sophia. Thank you, Linda and Sophia. Again, if you are watching this, I am recording this on Friday, August 5th, to be uploaded on, or for release on August 6th. And I usually try to give my patrons a little bit more preview of videos than that. However, there is something that is going on that is happening, in the middle of August that I am gearing up for, and I will be telling you all about that whenever it happens. But the patrons already know, or can already know, if they go onto Patreon and read the post that I put on there. Feel free. Just don't tell anybody the big secret. All that good stuff. Anyway, patrons on Patreon, thank you so much. If you would like to be a patron on Patreon and know the secret, go to the link below. It really does help raise money for the Christo-Pagan church that we're setting up here on YouTube. If you would like to get something tangible for your money and help keep the lights on, you can hit up the eBay link down below. That does go towards me, goes towards keeping the lights on, keeping me fed, and keeping Karen happy today, because Karen is over on the kitty condo over here. Not Jelly, as per usual. Odd. How you doing, Karen? Oh, she's having a little bath time. She's cleaning her paws. Anyway, everybody say hi to Karen. Hi, Karen. Yep, she could care less. Anyway, you can hit up the eBay link down below. It keeps Karen happy. If you would like to support this channel in other ways, hit that subscribe button right there, hit that bell notification, hit the like or dislike button right there. These all appease the algorithmic gods of YouTube. All hail the algorithmic gods of YouTube. And if it is safe for you to do so, consider sharing this on your social media platforms. Without further ado, let's get into chapter 3 of Temple Shamanic Witchcraft by Christopher Penzak. And I also want to say I'm filming this right after filming chapter 2. I am nursing a beer here, so I don't want the logo to be smeared all over this channel, because I rarely ever have a drink while doing videos, and I rarely do many things intoxicated or anywhere even close to what would be presumed as intoxicated. But I was working out in the yard earlier, so if you see me pause and jump around, it might just be because I was taking a drink. But not a long chapter, getting into the actual chapter here. I think it ends on 56, starts on 39, so what? 17 pages? Barely even that. More like 16 pages whenever you take out the all the space and everything, all the white space of it. So yeah, not really that big of a chapter. Not whenever we compare it to Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig, which, a single chapter would be like, 30, 40 pages. It was insane. I still like that we did that book, though. It was fun. Anyway, in our grandest of traditions, let us start on page 39 for chapter 3, Making Sacred Space. I always love a sacred space chapter. And we're going to start with the first sentence as per our grand tradition. Both shamans and witches are ceremonial leaders. They are charged with creating rituals to empower themselves and their tribes. I love how he words this. It is so nicely worded that you don't really need to read much more of the chapter besides like the nitty-gritty stuff. I mean, you can have this as one bullet point explains like half the chapter. It's fantastic. I love it. I think it sets up the chapter very well. He goes on to say in the next paragraph, certain locations are power spots, but all spaces are sacred. Absolutely. I do agree with this. I am agreeing with Christopher Penzak a lot in this book so far, and yeah, I'm here for it. Continuing on to page 40, under the title of Magic Circle. In my practice, I always look to see what is the same along different traditions, lands, and customs, for I feel that we share what we share, what we share is far stronger than what divides us. And I love this. The reason I love this is because, and I do apologize for some of the sounds from my computer here if it's coming through. Let me turn down my sounds here. There we go. I'll mute my computer or my speakers so it doesn't come through if I have more. I have a lot of things scheduled on my iCalendar or iCal, and yeah, this is one of the things I have scheduled. But let's see, what else do I have scheduled today? Yeah, I still have to pack to go down to Dover for this weekend, and I don't even have my uniform all washed and dried and everything ready to go. So yeah, I have to get on that here. So let's not take up too much time explaining all this. What I love about this is this is what I do with different religions, different cultures, different spiritualities. And that's one reason I don't have a problem with Christo-Paganism, is because I see the similarities between something like Catholicism and paganism. They work very similarly whenever you talk about the ritual aspects, and this gets done, so this gets done, and then this gets done, and this gets done, that type of thing. And then you invoke deity to be present in your space, and the cakes and ale and communion are so similar. Yeah, I see the similarities in there, and that's why I don't have a problem with Christo-Paganism. It works very easily for me. The next thing that I have is on page 42. Oh, before I go on to 42, is that. So yes, I do the same thing as Christopher Penzak with looking at different religions and walks of life and seeing what is similar and what may be a little bit different, but you see a lot more similarities than differences. But anyway, going on to page 42, I just have something bracketed because I really love the way that he puts this into words. For this is for casting the circle. It is, I charge this circle to create a space beyond space, a time beyond time, a temple of perfect love and perfect trust, where the highest will is sovereign, so mote it be. I love that wording, and I think whenever we set up the Christo-Pagan Church in its entirety, I think that's going to make an appearance once or twice or many, many times. So yeah, there are certain phrases or couplets, if you will, that I absolutely love the wording of them. There's a couple from Modern Magic, there's a couple from Christopher Penzak, there's a couple from different sources here and there that I will use because I absolutely love the wording of them, and I think they are very nicely worded, very poetic in a way. And they just make you feel a certain way whenever you read them, that it's just so genuinely expressed, I guess, would be the best way to say that. Anyway, moving on to page 46, under Shamanic Sacred Space, he writes, Shamanic practitioners can add the directions of above, below, and center to the better known four directions. Certain traditions even add left and right sides in inside the four directions. Okay. I have never heard of left and right side, but I have heard of above, below, and center. I love this, and it is something that I would like to try to include in my personal practice, um, because I think it couldn't hurt. I've never tried it, but I like the idea of invoking center and even above and below uh, within ritual. Moving on, together these points make 9 directions when included with the 4 cardinal points. 9 is a very powerful number. 9 and its multiples are associated with the power of infinity. 9 is the triple goddess tripled. Many traditions forego left and right sides and prefer 7 sacred directions. 7 shows up again and again in magic across the world, including the 7 chakras, the 7 ancient magical planets, and the 7 days of the week. Absolutely. I am a lover of 7. Whenever I do the numerology for like my birth date and all that, I have 7s all over the place. Um, Oddly enough, not 1 7 in my birth date, but if you add up the uh, the day that I was born, it comes out to a 7. I think, what else was it? If you add up, was it the year? There was something else that if you add it up, it comes out to 7. I think my name might come out to a 7. It's been a while since I've done it, but I have 7s all around from what I remember of doing my numerology. Now I'm gonna have to do it again just to see like where exactly those 7s show up, and um, maybe why they show up where they do. And this is going to be something that I rattle around the brain thing whenever I go down to Dover tonight. Get out my little steno. I have been doing steno pads lately. I'll take out my little steno pad and just start writing away, doing numerology. So that's going to be something fun to do today whenever I get down to Dover. Um, but moving on is page 50. Sage is traditionally used in these rituals, talking about cleansing and whatnot. I have issue with sage. Now I do use it. I have it. I've had it for years. I bought it in bulk a long time ago, um, but I don't think I'm going to be buying it much more because there are indigenous people that um, they they don't even get it. They can't even get it for their traditional rituals and whatnot. So, and it's because the sage that used to be utilized by them is being bought up by all these metaphysical stores and everything. um and it's just not right that um there is a certain amount of cultural appropriation where, oh, sage will fix that. Yeah, yeah, sage does a lot of good and everything. However, there are also other things that can be utilized that you shouldn't need to just go to sage alone. um and he mentions one of them here on page 51, which I have underlined, is mugwort is cleansing but also psychically stimulating. And may I say, absolutely. um if you happen to have a pipe and you happen to smoke mugwort, be ready. It's a wild ride. I enjoyed it. It is not an illegal substance. It's not something that I am not allowed to smoke as a military member. Um, but it was quite good as far as psychically attuning. Now it's not going to be trippy. It's not going to be like getting you high like some other substances might, but it, it it does help attune you psychically. Now, if you're not into smoking things, totally understand. I would not suggest people to just go lighting up any old herbs without knowing how they affect you first. Um, at that time, I had already been working with Mugwort quite a bit. So, yeah, something to consider on that one. And if you have any medical questions, ask a legitimate doctor. I'm not a doctor, a medical doctor of any sort, and I do not give this as an endorsement to go just smoking anything. But I also want to say that if you are starting to work with mugwort and you like how it smells as an incense, you can also make mugwort tea, and it gives you a similar effect as well. I didn't like the tea as much. It's very, very bitter. Yeah, I wasn't much of a fan of that, because, of course, you're not supposed to be putting sugar and cream or anything like that in there to kind of, dull down the tea bitterness, the taste of it. So, yeah, you don't want to dilute it um, by putting sugar and all that in there, but that's what I would have to do to choke that stuff down. It's very bitter. I didn't really care as much for the taste, but you do have similar effects from the tea. Um, let's see. Also on page 51, make a spiritual connection to the energy of each plant and ask permission to harvest it. This is something that I found weird. Um, and yeah, this is something that I I questioned for the longest time, and I'm still slowly coming to the reality of it. Asking permission before you pick a flower or something of that nature. But my friends would do that whenever when we were just like out of high school, or when we were still in high school. They'd be like, "Did you ask permission?" I'm like, "What do you mean ask permission to pick a flower? Who am I gonna ask?" And I wasn't quite understanding what they were saying. Even after I started to understand what they were saying, it was still kind of foreign to me. It's still a little foreign to me to ask a plant for permission. But I'm warming up to the fact more and more. It's something that I need to uh, work with a lot more than just the little bits here and there that I have. So yeah, that's something that it's taken me a long time to wrap my head around and to get to the point where I'm I'm getting okay with it. Um, and if I sound stuffy, that's because I am getting a little stuffy. Um, Again, I think it is, if you watch the chapter 2 one, I think it's the differences in temperature and pressure inside and outside that's messing with my nasal passage. I am adamant I do not have allergies. I hope that is true. Um, because I've survived this long without allergies. I don't want them. Thank you. Anyway, continuing on page 51, an action is only disrespectful if you perform it with disrespect. And I want to say that that doesn't only go for leaving an offering for a plant. It also goes um, hand in hand with the type of stuff like a cultural appropriation and whatnot. And I've spoken on this on the past, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse over this. But if you are respecting a culture and a way of life and a belief system, but you alter it to fit your practice, I don't find that as necessarily as cultural appropriation. What I find as cultural appropriation is people who will wear Native American garb just because they want to look cool, or they think it might make them stand out and whatnot. It's weird, it's creepy. Please don't do it. But yeah, that I find is cultural appropriation. um, you utilizing a little sage in your practice because you have found that through using it in your practice is beneficial, then yeah, I don't see that as cultural appropriation. However, try to use something else. Because yeah, the Native American or First Peoples tribes that have that as a set standard for their practice, they should be able to use that. Anyway, moving on, page 53. If smoke is an issue, many many metaphysical supply stores carry smokeless sage spray bottles, which are simply a mixture of water, alcohol, and sage essential oil in a spray bottle. I also wanted to add in here, if you are a traveling person, if you are a traveling witch, if you are staying in a hotel room, many hotel rooms you are not allowed to smoke in. Take it from me, if you are staying in if you go to a hotel room and they ask you if you want smoking or non-smoking, find a different hotel room. That one's a roach motel. Um, your better hotels are going to say non-smoking all across the board. Um, and, that'll be a little bit better. Save yourself the aggravation there. But if you are traveling, um, you're not going to be able to cleanse your space if that's something that you do every single time that you stay in a different location. You're not going to be able to cleanse your space with smoke. So if that's something that you traditionally do, consider getting a smokeless spray bottle, or a smokeless oh geez, what do they call this, smokeless sage, and spray that around the room and whatnot. You'll be good. I just wanted to add that in there because that is something that whenever you are traveling, you don't necessarily think of, taking that with you. It's not always something that is, excuse me, it's not always something that is on a packing list. And then whenever you get there, you're like, oh crap, I don't have sage. Carry the sage spray with you. Perhaps put it in your car if you are traveling by car. If you have a pocketbook or something like that, slip one in there. I mean, you can get little bottles of this stuff. So anyway, just a little tip. Just the tip. Anyway, page 55, at the very bottom, creating sacred space, however you choose to do it, is a fundamental component in the training of a shamanic witch. Wow. Why can I not read? Well, that is the last part that I have underlined here in this chapter. I don't know why I'm having a tough time reading. I know I'm barely even halfway through that beer. It's sad. It's going on like 2 hours since I've opened it, but yeah, that didn't do it to me. I'm just getting tired, and it's only going on 5 o'clock, so that's a little sad. Anyway, addressing this one, creating sacred space, however you choose to do it, is a fundamental component of training, the training of a shamanic witch. I do agree with that. It is a fundamental part of training when you are talking about anybody in witchcraft. It doesn't need to necessarily be somebody that is studying for shamanic witchcraft, but anybody that is taking part in a ritual type of setting, setting sacred space is important, at least until you get to the point where you're comfortable not setting up a sacred space, if that is something that you choose to do at a later date. Now, I don't always set up sacred space for my personal rituals. Sometimes I'll just go right into spellcraft and that's it. But there are other times whenever I'm like, yeah, no, I need to set sacred space because that's what I'm doing and that's the ritual that I'm performing here. But I would definitely suggest that anybody that is considering doing witchcraft or spellcraft in any way, shape, or form, if you were just starting out, start out with creating a sacred space. Get to know the elements and get to know the directions associated with them, and knowing how to cast a circle and cleanse a space and whatnot. Start out with that as a fundamental thing, and then progress from there. If at any point in the future you decide not to create a sacred space in conjunction with doing your spell work or ritual work, then you can cross that bridge at that time. But starting out, I would suggest to always create sacred space. At least in my experience, that's the best way to do it, because then if you ever have that situation where you need a sacred space, you can pop one up just like that. It starts rolling off the tongue very easily. I haven't created sacred space, like an actual full-on ritual, in quite a while. But if I wanted to create sacred space right here, right now, I would be able to go to each corner, say something that is meaningful to me, cast circle, cleanse the space, and get to work. So yes, that is something that I would suggest to new individuals. Now, I want to hear from you all down in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are on that sacred space comment that I just made. And is this something that you agree with? Is it something that you still do? Do you still create sacred space every single time? Is it something that you're like, I do it every once in a while, but not always? I would like to know. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Anyway, we're heading on to around 26 minutes. I'm not going to edit this down. I'm just going to add the background noise, the background music, and that's going to be that. So that's all that I have for chapter 3 of the Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft by Christopher Penzak. Show the book, Rich. There you go. Again, link is below if you would like to get that. Hit up the Patreon link if you would like to become a patron. And yes, I am going to edit this down now. I just remembered I coughed earlier, and I want to cut that out. And I just coughed again, so anyway, hit up that eBay link, hit up the Patreon link, hit up all the links, and until next time, I think our next video is a believe it's a Witchy Wednesday, I think, pretty sure. Until next time, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye. Sorry, I was getting a really dry scratchy throat at the end there. Okay, bye.